All right, so this week on Weekend Adventure Rides, we are going to be taking this stock speedometer mount for the Sportster, and we're going to be separating the indicators from the actual speedometer. We're going to be relocating the speedometer and then reintegrating these lights into the new handlebar clamp. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Okay, so I have the speedometer here, and this is pretty simple to take apart. There are two screws in the back. They're both Allen head. I don't think this has ever been apart. There's a water seal on there. So I'm just going to take a screwdriver and kind of stick it between. There we go. Split that off. Okay, and then you'll have the wiring connection here. Just got a clip on each side. Snap those out, and then that's going to pull straight out. Okay, and that's separate, and then that speedometer will just come out to the front. Okay, there we go. So now we'll get these dash indicator lights off. These are a T10 screw. Oops. Okay, and then the little cover on the front, the plastic one, and don't lose that. So there we go. Indicator lights, I'll set that to the side. Now, because of where I'm going to mount this, I am going to have to split these two away from each other, because this is going to stay on the mount, but this is actually going to move down to the left by the motor. We're actually going to mount it right on the motor. So what I need to do is split open this wire cover here. So I'll get this wire cover all cut open. What I'm going to do is actually cut this black wire, this ground wire, and I'm going to put a splice in there, and then I'll extend that wire later after we get everything positioned so I know where it needs to go. Let's get this mounted onto the new handlebar clamp. I will put a link to this in the description. It is directly from China. I couldn't find anything that was made in the US that I liked. In order to do this, we've got little tabs here that give us the correct orientation on this plastic cover here. So we'll put that on first, make sure all the holes line up correctly, and then same thing on the lights. The way they're staggered is important so that the correct light turns on whenever you indicate. Everything lined up there, and drop our screws in. And this is plastic, so you need to be quite careful with it, and you don't need to tighten it down too much. Now let's put on the speedometer mount. So this is aluminum like the handlebar clamp, and it's got the same raised edges here so that the speedometer's orientation is correct. So we'll put that on, and it fits on there so it goes in like that. And that rubber seal, just press that down. So over here at the motorcycle, I have the new speedometer mount that's going to connect on this head bolt, and then this motor mount right here. So it's going to go in like this. So I'll get those two out. All right, this first bolt here, this is a 5/16. So I've got a ratchet. We'll get that one out. Okay, and then this other bolt on this side over here is a 5/8. The bends are not quite perfect, so I will need to put this head bolt one in first. So get this one down, not tight, but so there's no real thread showing. Like so, and then I'll have to bend this down into place. So because we're moving the speedometer onto the motor, and these rubber mounted motors shake like crazy, make sure you put some thread locker on. And just snug it down with my fingers and finish it off with this Allen key. New bars, they go like this. We want all the wiring to the front. We don't want to drop anything. just like that. And then we'll have the stock clamp bolts. Long ones go on top. Now I'm going to get everything kind of lined up. I know that these bars are going to want to be forward a little bit. I'm also not going to get them real super tight yet. So get your lefts and rights kind of lined up. And with these bars, I like how they look when they're kind of perpendicular to the ground. Now I'll reconnect the wiring to the gauge. I got a couple of these all steel butt connectors and some wire that's close to the appropriate gauge. We're going to splice together these two black wires. These are just ground wires. So we've got to take these connectors apart one more time. Okay, now I'm going to de-pin this connection so we can run the loom up it and then do the same thing on this one. Okay, like I've said before, make sure that you take some pictures so it only goes in one way. I take a picture of this so I have orientation of all the wires. Okay, so you push in on these white end pieces, little clips, and then you can push the gray connector back. There's these red plugs you can pull out. Those just take up space inside the connector so that water doesn't get in. Now I'm going to separate the black from the white here. Okay, just like that. That pulls loose. Still clip on both sides. Got all of those depinned. I'm going to set that aside. This rubber cover, that's all depinned. Now I'm going to move on to the other connector. Okay, that just pulls straight out. These pins are easier to remove. Just a clip down on the bottom, pull straight out. We're going to run the new loom, but I want to make sure that we don't mix any of these wires up, so I'm going to use some electrical tape to retain those wires in the correct locations. And then about every 4 or 5 inches I'll put a little bit of electrical tape just to keep everything bunched nicely. Putting the connectors back together is a little easier to do if you give yourself just a little bit more room. So this is a 1/2 inch expandable braided loom. So I'm just going to feed this piece all the way to the top up here. I'm going to tape the ends and then I'll just cut this off after the wires all ran through the loom. We don't want to lose anything in there. This is like a Chinese finger trap. You got to kind of push it on. If you pull it on, it doesn't work. So guide it up there like that. This is where that T is right here. So we'll start heating up this soldering iron to make this cut into the wire loom. Okay, let's see how close we are here. Oh yeah, that's working. Okay, that should be plenty big. So I'm gonna bring it back down this way and we'll go to the end. And then I'm just gonna pull the end through like that. Just like that, through the hole. Push this back into place. I'm gonna do the same thing, use my soldering iron to kind of finish up the ends here, burn them off so that it looks nice. And then down here, right there, we'll cut that off. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of extra. I'm gonna go all the way to the end here. Just like that. And then up here at the top. So I do want to do another piece right here, like this, about that long. And cut that off. Now the part that I don't love is putting the pins back in on this connector. So we'll take our electrical tape back off, consult the pictures. So we'll have this backing piece and this backing piece, the clip part. Now that we have correct orientation there, we're going to put them through this clip, this retaining clip, and then we'll put the black end on and then finally clip it back through this clip connector here. I know I'm saying clip a lot, but shit, I'm not sure what else to say. Okay, so now this piece can only go in one way. So we're then pushed all of the way to the front. I'm going to take this retaining clip, push that in there, and that should get them all pushed up to the edge. Now I can pull this rubber piece down and into position like that, and then the gray clip, and that snaps into place.
All right, let's put our Speedo back together. We'll get our orientation correct so we're not pinching any wires. Got little screws here. Put them on our Allen key. Now for this connector, run our loom over it all the way on. Got our Deutsch connector and pull all of these wires. Now we have our connector. Orientation is key as this will only go into the female connector one way. So with those all in place like that, we'll put this wedge in there. Okay, and then that snaps into place. All right, looking good. And then we'll pull this backing rubber seal into place. I'm gonna take some zip ties and zip tie these down. Okay, like that. And then I'll clip these ends off. All right, so that is it for today. We got the Speedo relocated, we got wires reran, we got wire loom on, got it cleaned up, looking pretty nice. All of the items I used in this are gonna be linked down in the description. They are going to be affiliate links, so if you use those links, I get paid. That gives me the opportunity to buy more motorcycle parts and continue to create content for you. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next week on Weekend Adventure Rides.